Once the world's fourth richest country, today a symbol of hunger and devastation. The painful story of Venezuela, which is a warning for the whole world. A country where people used to casually catch a weekend flight to Miami for shopping, where the streets glittered with luxury cars, where every home was filled with prosperity, every face carried a smile, and every dream sparkled with abundance. Imagine. The same country reaches a point where people stand in line for hours just to buy a loaf of bread, where hospitals run out of medicines, schools are empty, and millions of people leave their homes, searching for life in another land. This is not a story. This is Venezuela's reality. Once counted among the richest nations in the world, once called the Saudi Arabia of Latin America, that very Venezuela has today become the biggest example of economic collapse. And now, after America's military entry and Maduro's arrest, as the situation once again plunges into turmoil, the world is asking again, how did this happen? How did the world's fourth richest country turn into one of the greatest economic tragedies in just a few decades? The story begins in the 1950 and 60, a period when the world was reshaping, when the fate of nations was changing rapidly, and Venezuela's star was shining at its brightest. Oil gifted this country wealth like gold. The black stream flowing from its oil wells gave it so much prosperity that the citizens' income reached almost equal to that of Americans. If an American earned 100 in that era, a Venezuelan earned around 82 to 85. The glitter on the streets of Caracas wasn't just of lights, it was of lifestyle. Tall buildings, glamorous nightlife, luxury cars, shopping malls, concerts, theaters. Venezuela was the dream destination of Latin America. People flew to Miami on weekends for shopping and vacations. International magazines began calling Venezuela the future economic miracle. There was oil money, so the government increased subsidies, expanded welfare schemes, put cash in people's hands. And the people were happy. No one ever imagined that this very money, this very oil, this very comfort would one day become the country's biggest enemy. But the most dangerous truth of the world is this: the very thing that takes you to the greatest heights, if not handled carefully, can also crash you to the ground. For Venezuela, that thing was oil. The entire economy slowly turned into a one-legged structure standing only on oil. Agriculture was ignored, manufacturing was allowed to weaken, industries never diversified. Everything depended on just one thing: oil. This is the same phenomenon that economists call Dutch disease, when one resource brings so much money that other sectors never get a chance to grow. In the beginning, everything seems perfect, but when the global market changes, the entire system starts collapsing. Then came the entry of those leaders who, instead of channeling this power in the right direction, prioritized popularity in politics. The era of Hugo Chavez arrived, with promises of revolution, slogans of social justice, benefits to the poor, free programs, heavy subsidies. Initially, the people applauded, and the world called it a socialist miracle. But behind this, a huge mistake was being made. The oil money wasn't invested in infrastructure, industry, technology, or future planning. Instead, it was spent on vote politics and short-term popularity. Institutions were not strengthened, the economy wasn't diversified, and government control became so overpowering that even the national oil company, PDVSA, fell prey to heavy political influence. Then 2013 changed the direction of history. Hugo Chavez was gone, and power came into the hands of a man whose story itself sounds dramatic: Nicolas Maduro. Once a bus driver, then a union leader, then Chavez's most trusted ally, and eventually the president of Venezuela. It sounds inspiring, but governance doesn't run on inspiration. It runs on intelligence and strong institutions. And from there began Venezuela's real downfall. Oil prices in the global market began to fall. The very resource that once made the country's economy soar suddenly became weak. Revenue dropped to half. The government ran out of money. But the policies remained the same: subsidies, freebies, price controls, populism. On top of that, corruption, mismanagement, and bureaucratic failure made things even worse. Experienced engineers in PDVSA were replaced by political loyalists. Refinery maintenance stopped. Production kept falling. A country that once produced 3.5 million barrels per day dropped to below 1 million. And when an economy collapses, it's not just numbers that fall. Lives fall apart. Stores began to run out of goods. Supermarkets were empty. Medical shops empty. Hospitals had no medicines. People stood in long queues just to get food. Parents were forced to send their children to other countries. Hundreds of thousands of people started walking towards Colombia and Brazil. This was no longer just an economic crisis. It became a humanitarian disaster. Hyperinflation rose so high that the currency became nothing more than worthless paper. In 2018, Inflation reached millions of percent. People carried bags full of cash just to buy eggs. School teachers drove taxis, doctors fled abroad. The educated class slowly disappeared. The country's brain began to drain away. Then political chaos started. Opposition on the streets. Protests turned violent. Security forces cracked down. Hundreds injured, many killed. Trust in democracy shattered. International support faded. And during all this, Nicolas Maduro tightened his grip on power. Stronger speeches, stronger force, weaker economy, weaker people. And then the most dangerous possibility became reality. The United States stepped in. The US and Western countries imposed sanctions on Venezuela. Oil exports blocked. Assets frozen. Financial transactions locked. This was not just an economic action, it was political isolation. The US openly declared, Maduro is illegitimate. There are human rights abuses. And now the situation has reached a point where military intervention and Maduro's arrest have shaken the entire world. Once again, the world is shocked, and Venezuela stands at yet another crossroads. Now the question is no longer how Venezuela collapsed. The real question is whether it can stand up again. Can this country return to that era when Caracas used to shine? People smiled, and the world called Venezuela a success story? Experts say there is a possibility, but the road is extremely difficult. If a new government comes, if America lifts sanctions, if the oil market stabilizes, if reforms happen, if corruption stops, if institutions are rebuilt, then this country can rise again. But there are so many ifs that every if stands like a mountain in front of Venezuela's future. But one thing is absolutely clear. Venezuela's tragedy is not just Venezuela's tragedy. It is a lesson for the entire world. It teaches that a nation does not become powerful just because it has resources. It becomes powerful because it has vision. Money alone is not enough. A strong system is needed. Oil alone is not enough. Planning is necessary. If a country's entire economy rests on just one support, then the moment that support collapses, the whole country sinks. If there is no diversification, governance is weak, leadership is ego-driven, and institutions are politically controlled, then whether a country has gold or oil, the end result is the same. Crisis. This story is extremely important for India as well, because Venezuela is not just geopolitics, it is energy politics. If stability returns there, India can get cheaper oil. Companies like Reliance and ONGC may recover their investments. India's energy security can strengthen. Global oil prices may fall, meaning its impact will directly reach our economy. That is why India's eyes are not just on the news, but firmly on Venezuela's future.
This video has taught you something new. Do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.